What am I doing here?
Oh, there we go.
Live on YouTube now. Oops.
Do not spill the death
Yeah, you don't.
can, okay?
You don't want that all over your desk.
Your desk.
My desk. Oh, see, that's where our problems begin. She is built like my buddy Corey.
Who's that?
Corey?
No, who's that?
That's your sister, man.
Oh,
Probably shouldn't have said that on live.
I don't know if that's my sister. That might be one of her daughters.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's going on, Psycho Bunny Death Cult? It's time for the show. Connor's already in the house. So is Natalie. What's going on, ladies? Have you guys seen a movie called Motel Hell? I know you have. Oh, that Omvig character's watching again. How do you pronounce your last name? Omvig.
Yes.
Norwegian, right?
Oh, it's so cold.
But this house has been freezing lately. I don't know what the deal is. Driving me nuts. About to go all George Lutz on you. Start chopping wood all hours of the night for no apparent reason.
Oh, okay. That's great.
What's up, ladies? Have you guys seen Motel Hell? It's from 1980. You probably have. You probably just don't remember seeing it because I don't normally care for this movie. Have you seen it before?
This was one of my dad's favorite movies.
What it is actually a spoof.
Of what?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Once you understand that, then it becomes much more easy to watch. It's not supposed to be a horror movie. It's supposed to be a comedy. What's going on there, Sykes? How are you? Odd Mother's in the house. You ready to do this?
Yeah.
It's actually a very silly movie.
It is.
It's got some ridiculous stuff going on. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mic's on. Whoa. I need to refurbish this whole room, I think. Sykes remembers Motel Hell.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Hit it.
All right.
That's right, inmates. We are talking about Motel Hell from 1980. This one is starring Rory Calhoun.
Yes, it is the one with the people in the garden.
Which is, it's actually got Cliff Clavin in the garden. And I don't support violence against Cliff Clavin in any way. But that's a whole lot. We're going to get to that in a second. Let me ask you guys about, well, more importantly, Monica, let me ask you about Rory Calhoun.
Uh-huh.
Is he hot? You're into old men.
I was digging him.
What? How? Why? How does that work?
Because you could tell he was a good-looking guy when he was in his prime.
I was a good-looking guy in my prime.
And for an old
Nobody
guy,
gives me any credit.
For an old guy, he was like, you could see he was tan too.
Okay. So it's a tan thing, ladies?
I could see why the young girl liked him over the sheriff.
Well, the sheriff was very rapey kind of dude. And this, I don't know. All right, well, we'll get into that. So our movie star, let me finish this, got 6.0 stars on IMDb, is directed by Kevin Connor, written by Robert Jaffe, stars the Rory Calhoun, Paul Link, and Nancy Parsons. So the thing is, this is a very silly movie, and it's fine. Whatever. But when you read the IMDb trivia, you'll actually find out that this was meant to be a spoof of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that, I think, makes this make a lot more sense, because a lot of this movie just doesn't make any fucking sense.
And it's filmed in that famous location.
What?
That motel has been in so many movies.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I was trying to think of one. There's a drug dealer movie that's been in.
That makes sense.
There's also a Judd Nelson movie that place has been. A Day of the Dead movie was filmed there too.
Thank you very much, Connor. I'm not in my prime, but I appreciate the sentiment. So our movie starts off at this motel. It's a little shitty hole-in-the-wall hotel, probably off of some freeway somewhere. And the owner comes out, Rory Calhoun, playing Farmer Vince, whom Monica is apparently into. And he just kind of hangs out on the porch for a minute, and he goes off into the woods. Apparently there's some woods in this area, and then this part's kind of wacky because he's just walking through the woods, and all of a sudden a motorcycle with a sidecar comes screaming down the road.
Yeah.
And apparently the driver just completely forgot how to ride a motorcycle for a second because he just goes, "Ooh, and it's got a sidecar on it. So I don't understand what the physics of this motorcycle accident are. But and here's another weird part about this movie. The motorcycle driver is a character by the name of Bo. And behind him is a pretty hot young lady, and she's got to be like 19, 20.
Yeah.
In a minute, we're going to see Bo's driver's license, and he's going to be pushing 60. So what the fuck is he going? What's going on here with these two? What did you think of Bo? Was he hot?
No.
You don't really get to see too much of this dude, but it's a very strange dynamic, and this actually makes sense later on in the movie when things get sexual between other people. It's very strange. So motorcycle accident, kaboom. Farmer Vince is out there just kind of snooping and pooping through the woods, sees this whole thing, and goes walking up. And Bo is in pretty bad shape, but the young lady is just knocked unconscious. So Farmer Vince decides to more or less abduct the young lady. I guess like under the pretense of first aid or some kind of medical treatment, but he just decides to like keep her, like, you're now my property.
Yeah.
Type of a thing, which is very weird. But we're gonna get more into that in a second. So the next morning rolls around, she regains consciousness, and she's like, "Hey, what the fuck? I'm here. Where am I? What's going on?" And he's like, "You were in a motorcycle accident." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that sucks. Where's my boyfriend? Where's Bo?" And he's like, "Well, he died, so I buried him." And you're like, "Okay." So they call the cops, and the local sheriff just so happens to be.
Poltergeist is my favorite movie.
Oh no, not with the
One of my favorite.
Who brought up
movies.
Poltergeist? We're not doing that.
Night of the Chicken.
Oh God. So from there, they call the local sheriff, who happens to be Vince's little brother, and he's like, "Well, he's dead. Yeah, you sure? Yeah, buried him. Okay, that's the end of that. We're just gonna move right past this." And then they go back and talk to the young lady. Her name's Terry. She's pretty attractive, and she's like, "Well, I guess I'll just stay here with you guys." And they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna work on the farm now because we, I guess, technically own you in a weird way." It's very weird, and it's very rapey the way this whole situation goes down. Am I the only one that got that vibe? A little rapey? It's like you can't just
get it.
You can't just be like, "Okay, I'm going to keep you here and force you to do farm labor."
Yeah, it's not like
They
she had
didn't
amnesia.
force her. They were like, "Honey, you can stay with us. We're like your family
But who
now."
does
And
that?
she
Why would
didn't
you-
have anywhere to go.
Okay, that's which makes it even weird, because then it's like, why don't you get the fuck out of here? This is creepy and weird. But she decides to hang out anyway.
You
Megan,
guys seem nice.
yeah,
Okay.
okay, I'll hang. I'll
Or not.
I'll till your lawn or whatever farm people do. So from there, she goes on about learning more about these two people. So the owners of the hotel are Farmer Vincent and his sister Ida. Vincent has the hotel and the farm, and he's running a beef jerky business out of the farm. Okay, so he's got like livestock in the back, and he's got like a garden and stuff like that. It's all looks pretty legit to start with.
And Ida is famous for Porky's.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
She played the girls' gym teacher.
Yep.
That pulled the wiener.
Yeah.
I forgot all about it. I didn't even recognize her, to tell you the truth. So yeah, it's true. And she's a robust young lady, and she can probably kick somebody's ass. So that being said, now we set about just like farm life here at the motel. So now we're going to cut to a night or two later. We have a
Connor.
what's going on,
She's
Connor?
getting very explicit.
Hey, Connor, can we stop talking about sex, please? Some of us are trying to do a show here, okay? Good Lord. So from there, we're going to cut to a couple nights later. We have what I assume to be a heavy metal band by the name of Ivan and the Terribles
Yeah.
coming through town.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet just by looking at them that this van sucked, but they did have a kick-ass van.
Mhm.
Their van was dope. It had like a mural of, I don't know, some Russian guy on front and like a whole thing on the side. It was like an 80s van art kind of a thing. You know,
That's pretty cool.
I miss that shit.
I miss the 80s too.
Me too, Richard.
Oh,
So they're going through. They get into an accident, pretty much the same spot. Once again, Farmer Vince is just moseying on about the woods in the middle of the night, and he goes up, and they're all like trying to get out of their van. They roll the van. He goes and like sprays some gas on them before they can get out,
Mhm.
and then he backs his truck up and throws all these unconscious band members in the back of his flatbed and takes them back to the farm. Now, this is where things begin to get nefarious, even more nefarious than they already are, because he's apparently abducting young ladies off the back of crashed motorcycles. So he takes them back to the farm to a secret garden that he has, like behind some sheds, right? We get back there, and he's got, I think there was like 4 or 5 guys, including Cliff Clavin, which is, you know, Cliff Clavin, and it's kind of weird seeing him not as Cliff Clavin. It's John Ratzenberger. And what he's doing here is he's planting these people in the ground. Ida then comes up behind him and severs their vocal cords, but then stitches it back up. Because, you know, I don't know. I mean, clearly we're going to kill these people at some point. So why bother with the first aid? I don't know. Anyway, she stitches them back up, severs their vocal cords, puts bags over their heads, and then just leaves them there. Now, I'm with you so far, and this is one of the sillier parts of this fucking movie. I'm with you so far. You're going to kill people and you're going to turn them into beef jerky. Okay, I got that. What exactly is the point of planting them in the ground? Anybody got this?
Tenderizing.
Tenderizing?
Mhm.
I don't think that would tenderize. I think it would just make them stinky.
Well, we're growing them fat too, because she's putting the poo stuff.
The poo. Put the poo.
She's putting the two. I couldn't say the word two.
You went to poo instead of
Eating
two.
them.
Okay.
So they're not getting any exercise. They're just growing nice and plump in there.
It's gnarly. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. I don't see how they would grow by being planted in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna, like, you could just chain them up somewhere and feed them that way, or you could, I don't know.
You probably have a better chance of somebody
Well, this
finding them.
this whole shit is gonna backfire on them repeatedly throughout the movie. Hey, Raven's in the house. What's up, Raven? So that's weird, and they put bags over their heads and then they just leave them there for a while, apparently until they get ripe or something. That's pretty silly. Now we're gonna cut to the next morning. What?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you were about to give me some attitude.
Oh no.
You think about giving me attitude?
Uh-uh.
I'll plant you in the ground.
No.
Put a
I
bag
was
of
just
poop in
reading-
your face. So that's weird. Now the next morning, we have our human carrots, pretty much, Odd Mother.
Mhm.
But doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway, the next morning we're gonna like get more into his farm life and how he's got this whole secret garden of people kind of sectioned off from the rest of his farm. A health inspector rolls by. He's got to like check the pigs for. I don't know what he had, like a stethoscope on him, so I don't know. I think he's giving him physicals or something like that. But he gets a little nosy while he's checking the pigs and goes around like the butcher shop to where the secret garden is.
Mhm.
But Vince like jumps out and scares him, and he's like, ah, and he falls down.
Hi, Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Hey, Danny.
But he thought like some nefarious stuff was going on behind the butcher shop there. So that night, our health inspector friend shows back up, and he's like, I'm going to get over there and see what's behind there. But he gets back there, and then, of course, he gets caught by Vince, and now he's got to get planted in the ground, too. So right now, we're up to probably 5-6 people in this fucking garden, all with bags on their heads. What's up, Bill? Meat can't be harmed being buried, and so much easier to feed. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're raising livestock, though, you don't normally bury the cows up to their necks, right? Bill, I don't know. I don't know anything about farming. Maybe that's a new approach. Maybe somebody look into that. Maybe there's like a better, more efficient way to do that. I don't know. Get me out of here. Some people are as smart as plants. I guess that's one way to handle it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that's pretty weird. Now he's in there too. So now we're going to cut to that night. We have what I can only describe as two maybe prostitutes driving through the. I got a very prostitute-y vibe from these two young ladies. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
That's what we are discussing. Motel
Motel Hell,
Yep.
my dear Barbie.
Mhm.
Sounds like Motel. That's exactly what we're talking about, Barbie. They're driving through, and then they come across. This part is really stupid. This is probably the dumbest part of the whole movie. They come to the like a point in the road, and there's a bunch of cardboard cutouts of cows, and they're clearly cardboard. They're not real cows. They're just cardboard, and they both just sit there for like 5 minutes, egging each other to go move the cows. And they're like, "I'm not going to do it. You do it." "Oh, that's not it. Is that a cow? That's a real cow." "No, it's not a real cow. Look at it, it's cardboard." Eventually, one of them grows a pair, takes a gun with her, and goes out there to move the cows. Once that happens, Farmer Vince is behind him in the big pickup truck and hits the high beams. So one of them gets run over. The other one punches the gas. Now, mind you, these two possible prostitutes are driving what I would say is like a town car of some sort. While they're being chased by Farmer Vince, they have a CB radio in the town car in case of who the hell?
Now, in
Okay,
the
all right.
70s, CB radios were very, very popular. Everyone had one.
Did you have one?
Yeah, we did have one.
What
My
kind?
dad was weird. He
Okay,
wanted
you had one too in the 70s?
Yeah.
Okay.
See?
Well, then,
Yeah.
apparently I'm not actually.
Even I
had
did.
his first name and all that stuff.
Oh, he had the whole shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Even prostitutes apparently carried CBs in the 70s. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
However, now when I see somebody drive by with the
The
antennas on,
big
I show it's a car.
dude, you're a dork.
Either that or an undercover cop, and he's going to pull you over. So that's pretty weird. But the surviving young lady gets on the CB and is like, "Oh God, you got to help me!" It gets piped right into the police line, in which Bruce, the younger brother, is on a date with Terry at the drive-in. But in a weird twist, they didn't go to the drive-in. They went to the hill overlooking the drive-in. At which point there was like a bizarro swingers orgy in full progress when they got there.
I know, how weird.
I need to find that drive-in and go to that hill because that looks like a lot of fun, whatever those guys were doing.
Right.
I think there was ladies there too also. But they interrupt that. Now all of a sudden we have like a high-speed chase going on between Farmer Vince, the prostitute with the CB, and Bruce and Terry, who are trying to find out where she is. So they go speeding off down the road. Eventually, this part again, silliness. Farmer Vince like rear ends her twice, and then she just kind of loses consciousness behind the wheel.
Yeah.
I think she had a heart attack. I think she had cardiovascular disease, and she just, well, this is way too much. Oh, I have no idea, but she just kind of loses consciousness. And just luckily for Vince, as she's doing so, she careens into a pond, and then Vince goes and gets her out of there, out of her car, and then the car sinks into the pond. So 5-6 minutes later, here comes Bruce, and now he's gotten his police car stuck, and Terry had to help him get it out of the mud. Stupid. By then, Vince is already back, and he's got these two young ladies stuck in the ground also. So that's pretty gnarly. And this is where things are going to get even sillier because Vince is like getting ready to turn in for the night. He's got the young ladies getting put in the garden, and he hears honking coming from the front of the hotel. So now we're going to cut to the front where a wildly out of place couple of swingers have just shown up.
Yeah.
And apparently they got their directions crossed, or they looked at the wrong swingers magazine because it gave them a like an advertisement for Vince's Motel. Not this. I don't think it was this Vince's Motel. I hate to think they were actually advertising in a swingers mag. Anyway, they show up and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for some action," and the chick is like, just fucking the shit out of Farmer Vince, which I do not understand. Rory Calhoun had to be in his late 60s, early 70s in this movie. Monica thinks he's hot, so apparently he had something going on. I don't know, man. I don't understand that. But she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna look at you," and the guy's like, "Hey, so this is where the action is. Oh, you're gonna get." As they're having this bizarro asexual conversation, here comes Officer Bruce, and he's covered in mud, and Terry's there. And they're like, "Whoa, you really know how to get down. You're covered in mud." And he's like, "Hey, did you guys hear about like somebody screaming for help or something?" Here comes Ida. She's like, "Yeah, it was all over the CB. Goddamn kids had us running all over the place. Like it was some kind of prank." So Bruce already looks like a fucking asshole. And he just tried to rape Terry at the weird swinger spot above the drive-in. So he's like, "Okay, you guys have a good night. I'm going to get out of here." And then they check in the swingers.
Mhm.
And we get, okay, I'm not a swinger myself. Buddy is. Buddy's not a swinger, but I mean, I like to think that if I was a swinger, I wouldn't completely lose my goddamn mind like these two, because first off, the young lady has a whip, and she is just wrecking shop in the motel room
Oh yeah.
in a non-sexual fashion. So she's doing like she's going to audition for Zorro tomorrow or something. Pow,
Just
pow,
busting everything.
knocking over fixtures, smashing shit. And she's like, well, yeah, she's got like one of those 80s monotard things going on,
Mhm.
you know, like what is that, like a workout situation or
Leotard.
whatever it is? I don't know. And then the guy comes out of the bathroom, and what we have here is a nice combination of like a sports bra with his own monotard, and then like it looked like like what do you
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Tim's in the house. What's
Hey,
up, Tim?
Tim.
It's like he had a shower curtain for his balls, I think is the best way to put it. It was like a weird clear plastic miniskirt situation. I don't know where you would even find such an item. I think you would have to have it like custom made, but more to the point, what is that going to do for you sexually?
Oh, it feels good when you're all oiled up and it's slippery.
Okay, well, clearly I accused the wrong person of being a
I
swinger.
love latex and oil.
Mhm.
Slip and slide.
Okay.
And that's why you watch this show. Weird sex tips from Monica. All right, anyway. So he comes out wearing this thing, and he's like, "Hey, where's my ball gag, you bitch?" And she's like, "Shut your mouth or I'll whip you."
Shave your chest.
Yeah. Just then, Vince and Ida just let themselves into their room, and they're like,
In farmer outfits.
farmer outfits, like they just got out of the field.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, these guys are ready for action," because they have ropes and shit. So they're like, "Oh, tie me up, tie me up." So they tie him up, and then they hit him with the gas. They have like what is that? Some kind of laughing gas or something. Knocks them out cold, put them in the ground too. Now, I'm glazing over a lot of stuff here because this is a 2-hour movie. And a lot of the shit that we get to see, number one, we don't need to see it. Number two, it doesn't make any fucking sense. For example, at one point during this whole murder human planting situation, Vince tells Terry that he's going to teach her the secrets of smoking meat. This unfortunately pisses Ida right off because apparently she was entitled to the secrets of smoking meat. And amidst all that, we went on a very awkward picnic at a very litter-ridden cemetery, in which Vince regales us with a story of how he cooked the family dog and fed it to their grandmother, which causes Ida to get all pissed off and Vince to physically strike her in the stomach in front of Terry and Bruce. Talk about awkward. I mean, it's weird enough we're having a picnic in a cemetery, but a very garbage-ridden cemetery. And now we're gonna give you a light sprinkling of some domestic violence in there also. Not to mention we ate a dog.
Domestic violence.
He punched her in the stomach.
It was his sister.
That's still domestic violence.
You can punch family members.
Oh, you can
Yes,
you?
you can.
The views and opinions of the Padded Room podcast are not entirely whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of thing that we get a lot of in this. It's like weird getting to know you, possibly falling in love vibes from Terry and Vince. You get a lot of Terry staring at Vince, a lot of Vince selling beef jerky to random tourists, which we now know is human meat. So that's all well and good. While all this is going on, Bruce is continuing to hit on Terry and try to get her to go back to the swinger spot, I guess, or whatever the hell. And while that's going on, Terry is continually throwing herself at Farmer Vince, and Farmer Vince is giving her a lot of we need to be married first, and fucking, are you proposing? Yeah, we're gonna get married. Okay. So weird. You
Yeah,
just
that was
find
weird.
literally find a chick in the field,
Well,
take her home.
She took her little sundress off.
She did.
And took his hand and put
Put it on her boobies, and he's like, whoa, I'm
We have
almost,
to get
I'm
married.
almost 70 years old. I can't be touching tits and stuff. I haven't had an erection in 10 years.
I gotta take my libido
Hold
pills.
on, just hold on here. This is once you understand that this is a spoof, this is supposed to be a comedy, then it's fine. But if you're thinking you're going into this getting a horror film, it's pretty silly. All right, so that's all well and good. Now we have a big wedding between Vince and Terry. And by big wedding, I mean Vince and his sister and Terry. And I think Bruce was like walking around in the background. And that's pretty whatever. It's whatever. About this time, we're going to get a scene with Farmer Vince out in the human garden in which he's like getting ready to feed everybody. And we're going to find out that Bo, Terry's.
Without the penis?
Hey now.
Which one?
Whoa, hey, easy now. Easy. Connor is just on a fucking roll tonight, isn't she? Connor, I think we got you on a mood. Must be all this farmer Vince talk.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Hey now.
Johnny Depp.
Okay, that too. So that's all well and good. But we're going to find out that Bo is actually still alive. Bo is Terry's original boyfriend. And he's there in the human garden. He's got his vocal cords cut. And that's all they do.
Mhm.
And we get like this weird feeding situation where, as Monica alluded to, they basically affix snorkels to you and dump some kind of slop into it so that you have to eat it. It's kind of human centipede-esque in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross, but they have to eat it, and then they put the bags back over their heads. And that's about the end of that. So now things are coming to a head between Ida and Terry. Ida wants to be the heir apparent of the weird meat smoking secrets, which apparently Vince will not divulge. But the secret is pretty obvious. He's mixing people in with the pork.
Right.
So I don't know what she thinks she's missing out on. She's clearly already party to that little snippet. So I don't know why she's so jealous of Terry. Exactly. But anyway, we get a weird situation where they decide to go inner tubing together. And halfway through the inner tubing thing, Ida tries to drown Terry. Unsuccessfully, though, because Vincent saves her. And
Of course.
I mean, yeah, I would too. I don't know. Whatever. And then from there, this whole thing is coming to a head rather quickly. So what this whole thing escalates to is Bruce eventually stumbling upon, more or less, the weird vehicle dumping pond where Vince has been stashing all the vehicles. He's like, hey, something's weird here. And he's getting pretty fucking resentful of Vince because Vince is about to marry the chick that he's really into, being Terry. So he's like doing some snooping, and eventually he figures out that Vince is killing people and dumping their cars. So he gets wise. He's like, I'm going to go save her because he's probably going to kill her too. He's not going to. He was going to teach her how to be a cannibal or whatever. But he goes over there and he's like, Vince, we got to talk, man. You're killing people. And then we get like a big, like kind of a combat escalation scene, but it's very stupid because like they start to fight and then Ida sneaks up on Bruce and hits him with the laughing gas, which knocks him out, but not before he shows Terry like some of the evidence that he found. So now she's all fired off. She goes running back into the weird secret butcher shop and starts seeing all the human parts and stuff like that. And he's just like, oh, this is part of my secret. I'm going to teach you and pass it down to you, and you can inherit my jerky empire. Because I have sampler packs for $2.95. They are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, they are.
So that's pretty wacky. But now Terry wants to get the fuck out of there because, cannibals and beef jerky magnates, that's no good. So about this time, we cut back to the human garden. Bo has managed to get himself out of the carrot pit or whatever you want to call it, and he's getting everybody else out too. Now, right now, we're looking at a mob of about, actually, the only ones that they killed was the heavy metal band. Everybody else, they were just letting marinate there in the garden, which I don't understand at all.
I think there was about 9.
That was probably about squad plus. They manage to slither their way out of the holes and then go traipsing off towards the farmhouse, making that weird gurgling sound. So it's kind of like a zombie invasion type of a thing there for a minute. I thought that part was pretty cool, and they're all dirty. And
That
filthy.
part reminded me of Demons.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
The
yeah.
light in the background, and they're coming up the stair.
Yeah, and they all seem to be moving in formation, which I thought was kind of weird. And they're all limping and like, they're not zombies. They're just people with severed vocal cords who've been chilling in the ground for a little while. They managed to, while Farmer Vince and Terry are having this long conversation there in the butcher shop. Ida was going back to the hotel. She gets jumped by this mob. She actually puts a pretty good beating on the entire mob because she's built like a fucking freight train. Eventually, though, they do get the better of her and they take her down. Now, about this time, Bruce, who was knocked out in the hallway, comes to, grabs a shotgun, and goes hauling ass out into the the butcher shop there. While that's happening, Bo has managed to get his way into the butcher shop. Unfortunately, Terry was knocked out at that point, so she never actually knew that Bo survived at all throughout the entire movie.
Right.
Okay, now again, we're going to get very silly here because you have to remember that Rory Calhoun, probably in his early 70s when he made this movie, but he's putting a beat down on everybody. He's throwing left hooks and haymakers and just clocking people. And I don't think he weighed more than 140 pounds, maybe, with his overalls on. But it's fine. He's supposed to be the villain, and I think he was supposed to be a minorly good looking. Or bangable by Monica standards. So he puts a pretty good ass whipping on Bo, throws him, I think, out of a window or into something. He throws him into something, and Bo is no longer part of the equation. About that time, Bruce rolls in with the shotgun. Vince has locked himself in like the back meat shed and comes out wearing a giant pig mask and a chainsaw.
That was pretty cool.
That part was pretty creepy. I gotta admit, I got a little creepy out of that one. Hey, what's up, Late Horror Show?
Hi, guys.
But the thing about this is that while he's wearing the mask,
Hey, Summer.
Hey, Summer's in the house. What's up, Summer? He's like cackling from inside the mask while he's chasing Bo around with the chainsaw.
Great.
And that mask was pretty fucking creepy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was a mask or if it was like an actual pig head.
I think it was a pig head.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah, looked
That
good.
looked pretty
Yeah.
real. That was a giant fucking pig, man. Because that head was huge.
I know.
Yeah.
Whoa. You could probably feed a village with that particular pig. I don't know.
Probably like a 30-pound man.
That's a big one. So this another silly fight scene where they're like half-ass fencing with chainsaws, and eventually Bruce gets the better of one of the greatest movies ever. You think so, huh, Jim? Bruce gets the better of Vince, and he like lodges the chainsaw in his side just in time to run out and save Terry, because she was actually strapped down to some kind of a meat slicer contraption. So gets her out. They go back in. They're like, "Oh shit, Vince!" You hear him screaming in pain. He's got the chainsaw like lodged in his guts. Go out there, and then Vince makes a very heartfelt confession that he is actually the biggest hypocrite of all because he, in fact, used preservatives.
Oh,
Oh,
man. What was he thinking?
And that's the end of your movie, kids. What did you guys think of Motel Hell?
Good movie.
I like this.
It's a good. It's a comedy. It's a what do you call like a fucking. It's a spoof, is what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't get that feeling that it was a spoof.
I didn't
I-
either.
I did.
The first time I watched it, I was like, "This is silly. This isn't even really a horror movie."
I feel like it was definitely an 80s movie.
Oh, you can tell.
Everything.
To me, it had more of a 70s vibe to it.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I mean, it was made in 1980, so
Hmm.
well, a lot of the influences were probably more 70s than 80s. But it's fine. It's 2 hours long, and there is a lot of unnecessary nonsense in here. The secret of the meat. You know damn well what the secret of the meat is,
What
Ida.
happened to the plant people?
There was plant people. Oh, the people plants. That's a different thing, Summer.
Oh, she means the people in the ground.
I assume they just kind of walked off.
Yeah. Hopefully
got
got some medical
rescued.
attention.
By who, I have no idea. There's only one cop in this town, and he's knocked out in the hallway. So I don't know, man. I like to think they all walked off and got jobs,
Yeah.
stopped being prostitutes, and I don't know, maybe actually did go on to a musical career. Who knows? It's a valid question. It'd be hard to go into music without vocal cords, though. So I don't know if you can get that fixed.
I almost felt like they, Terry and the cop went on to carry the tradition on.
Yeah, you think there's a sequel, a Motel Hell sequel?
No, but that's how I felt.
Your microphone has been off this entire
This
time.
is your microphone.
Oh, Monica.
I think people still heard me.
Sure. So, I mean, that's pretty much a movie. And then, I mean, we do have like a little postscript where they go out to the garden to see if anybody else is out there and needs to be freed. And they find Ida's feet sticking out of the ground, like straight up,
Yeah.
like they buried her head first. And like Bruce goes to like, hey, are you okay? And then the feet start kicking and then they collapse. And that's the actual end of the movie.
Oh.
It's a comedy, man, is what it is. And but there's a lot of unnecessary
Pillars.
like romantic drama.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? I mean, just a whole part about like, I found you in the woods and you're now kind of my property. I don't
That
feel,
was weird.
I know, and I didn't feel like Terry was free to leave, even though she made no effort to. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. That's just the vibe I got. Or the part where if you find a dead guy, you can just bury him and nobody will ask any questions. As long as you do it in a cemetery, apparently, it's okay.
They should have done a route where she had amnesia when she woke up, but they didn't go there.
That would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
That's some good writing. That's a good writing tip right there, buddy. Buddy, bringing in the writing stuff. I like it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that other movie that we watched where the couple went, oh, yeah, where the couple went to stay at that cabin that was like all empty. You know which one I'm talking about. And they were chaining up the women in the barn.
And
Yeah, they were impregnating the women.
we did it for the show.
Yeah, and they were actually a catering company. They were
Oh.
cannibals. You know which one I'm talking about.
Not bloodbath, not.
No.
Hey, Gail.
It's fun. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was the same way. They show up at the motel.
Blood Feast,
and was
right?
that what it was called?
I think so. It's a catering
Sounds right.
company.
Yeah.
Gail's in the house. What's up, Gail? Well, there you have it, kids. That was Motel Hell. Not a bad show. It's 2 hours long. It's got the 70s pace. And again, even though it was made in 1980, for some reason, every goddamn movie that was made in the 70s had to have an underlying love story to it. So we got an impacted colon full of a wildly inappropriate relationship between a senior citizen and a pretty hot blonde who wants to bang him for reasons I don't understand. So we got a lot of that going on. Blood Feast, exactly right, Lily Horch. See, these guys.
Okay, Blood Feast.
Yeah,
Very nice.
catering company.
Okay.
Pretty wacky though, man, all the way around. It's more of a comedy, I'd say. If you're looking for a serious horror movie, this ain't it.
No.
If you're looking for 2 hours of, I don't know, nonsensical, like at one point just hear me out. No, kill the feed, I promise. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ. But at one point, Vince and Ida are driving. This is the Vince is explaining to Ida about how important these homemade booby traps are to him because they give him a chance to be creative.
Mhm.
You're the killer. You understand that? You're the villain of this movie.
Yes.
Why do you need to be creative?
Well,
How does that make sense?
well,
It's the
after you
hunt.
stab one person in the gut, it gets boring. So you got to come up with creative ideas to murder people.
Oh, it's silly.
I'm gonna lay this bear trap here.
Oh, okay. How
Lay this bear trap over here.
acceptable in Saw then?
because
That's creative.
Jigsaw isn't smiling and telling Shawnee Smith about how I get to be creative and use my mind.
Well,
And
he does though. It's the
Well, he
same
does,
kind
but
of-
he doesn't have to have the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think he's using torture and killing as a creative outlet. He's doing it because he's trying to redeem people. He's not making them into beef jerky, man. that I know of. Did Jigsaw ever make anybody into beef jerky?
Not that I know.
You know what? Now that you mention it, though, there's a lot of similarities. The pig mask, the
Yeah,
traps, except,
better traps.
way better traps than this. No cardboard cutouts of cows, for Christ's sakes. What else? The female apprentice, sort of. There's some parallels there.
If you
Huh.
want to wonder what the hell you just watched, this movie is for you.
Um,
Good point.
that's well said, Richard. I'd say so. I'm dreading this birthday because no one wants to be 23. Connor, you know how much
Connor, I am
I
going
would
to
love-
spank you if I
she's gonna
meet you.
spank you, and then I'm gonna watch because what I would give to be 23, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you guys got anything else on Motel Hell?
Check it out.
Check it
guys.
out.
It's
Yeah,
worth
check
a
it out.
watch.
You've probably
That's a good
seen it.
point.
Yeah.
It's something. Don't take it too
Because
seriously.
one day this movie is going to come up in a trivia question.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Let's give it the parole officer's skull rating. How many skulls would you give this one, Monica?
I would
what
give
did we
it
do? 1 to 5?
through 5.
1 to 5.
I would give it 3.5.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5. I'm going to. There's boobies. It's got everything you need. It's got boobies. It's got blood, and I mean that's really all you need, really. If you
And
ask
it's
me.
got a hot old man
Huh.
and
That
a chubby
grosses-
girl.
It grosses me out when you say that.
You had prostitutes.
There were I mean, I don't want to judge those young ladies because it was never
Oh
overtly
my
stated that they were
God.
prostitutes, but the way I think they were probably prostitutes. And you get to see Terry's boobs, and they're not bad. They're not bad.
Yeah, and a CB radio just for you.
Cardboard cutouts of cows.
Oh, that
Come
was
on down.
awesome.
Cliff
We need to
Clavin.
try that.
Put some cardboard. Dude, if we did that today, people would just drive. They would use them as targets. Drive right through them. Boom.
Well, I don't know, because you would damage your vehicle, and I would personally.
Of course. Of course. She'd be the one that's out there going, "Oh, I'm all vulnerable out here.
Hello.
I hope there's no hot old men that are going to try to take me all by myself.
Oh, I tripped.
Whoopsie. Does anybody have any laughing gas?" Oh, yuck. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. That was Motel Hell. Join us next week for Spider Baby here in the padded room.
Spider baby.
Spider Baby. Here in Hillbilly Month.
we
In the
can turn
padded
off that
room.
mic now.
Yeah. Why don't we just leave that off now? All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Join us next week for Spider Baby and Hillbilly Month. PaddedRoomPodcast.com. Anything you want to know about us or our subsidiary shows or how to get a hold of us or anything at all, really. Until then, we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Only 8 o'clock.
I know. we're
Pretty
like,
good
oh,
shape.
wow.
Did that thing fall off again?
Maybe you should just crazy.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I'll actually get home before 10.
Well, let's not push it there.
Yeah, show's not over yet.
Oh, see, she just sent me watched part of Gone. That Bella chick, she watched our movie.
Oh yeah.
Yo. Yeah, go ahead. So check it. Well, I don't know. Are you telling me?
I can't.
Oh, are you done eating?
But Mommy said I
Oh, okay. Very end.
Hmm?
I started running at the very end. All this getting warm outside, and all of a sudden it's getting cold.
Let's see.
sit in your chair.
Okay.
I'm going to the podcast.
Oh, you think so, huh?
Yeah. Hello.
Oh yeah, I gotta figure it.
What's immersion therapy?
Immersion therapy.
Oh, there was one that I had heard. I think I saved it. Or no, on my camera roll.
Cut, cut.
Oh yeah? You just cutting me up, huh?
Cut.
Where's Monica?
I was so blinded by your beauty that I didn't think to realize how well you say you want to serve me,
Surf me.
that it might just lead to my demise. You're reaching out my heart and soul, face your feet on my bedside.
Okay, that actually looks pretty.
For you, again.
You want to do the Motel song?
Oh, I didn't know. Oh God, we should. For the sake of consistency, I guess.
How about The Car Road to Revenge? It's on Netflix.
The Car Road.
The Car Road to Revenge.
Oh, that's
Oh,
that's the
that's the
sequel. Sure. I never actually watched it. You watched it, didn't you,
Mhm.
Monica? You said it was bad.
Well, it was. Well, I didn't like it because if you watch the original, it has nothing to do with the original. They're just like sports cars now.